conversation is going round. People talking about the colors come to town. Fresh as a summer breeze, she'll take you by surprise.
Good morning and welcome to another fabulous episode of Fresh Waves here on Whistle FM. We have a wonderful show today. We always do. And it is the third Wednesday of the month, which means that we have Jolana Pettifer coming on to talk about decorating. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm so thrilled to be here as always.
Oh, it's wonderful, isn't it? I love being here on the air with you. We've been friends for years and radio buddies for a very long time now, and it's always fun.
We have a great time.
And I feel like I just saw you.
So true. Right.
But you know what? We have to give a big shout out to Reeser's Market and Bakery for the beautiful muffins in the studio this morning. They're at 5758 Main Street, and if you're in town, drop in and see them. They've got all kinds of really great goodies. And you know what? We're still sort of on a fall harvest mode where we have terrific
community events are
and beautiful produce and vegetables and things. Yeah. And the gourds. Now, I've been decorating my house with gourds since before Thanksgiving because that's kind of what I like to do. Thanksgiving is kind of a decorating mecca for our house. Because, you know, we have lots of peach colors and tones that bring the outside in and the inside out, and lots of evergreens outside. So it's fun to do these colors, and I like the fall.
We've just come through Thanksgiving.
Right.
And so having colorful leaves on your tables and gourds, like you said, like wheat, there's so many incredible elements that you can use to decorate.
And the gourds last for a really long time.
They sure
and they go through right through to Halloween. I don't really like tacky Halloween decorations, and now I'm really happy that the kids are not living at the house anymore, so I don't have to put up odd little pumpkins, and then everybody gets to paint their own pumpkin or carve their own pumpkin.
I kind of miss those days, though.
I do miss them, but you know what? It's nice not having to have the pumpkins that are rotting on the front step. No, you can't throw it out, Mom. It's fine. Anyway, so it's nice.
It is, yeah.
And now I can look at different things, like on the weekend during the studio tour.
Yeah.
Danielle, this wonderful woman that does metal work, she had beautiful pumpkins, really reasonably priced, made out of metal that were able to stand the elements outside, and a really nice decorating feature for the outside of your
absolutely.
house. Just put it away in the rafters and bring it out again next year. No carving, no mess.
And then you can always still add a few pumpkins around it, like, you know, right? Sure. If you want to. So, yeah, no, I love metal. Any kind of metal, I love it.
The metal art is really quite spectacular, and it has longevity.
It sure does. Yeah, it does.
Okay, so this morning we have decided that instead of really harping on Halloween decorations, which are pretty simple, I mean, when it comes right down to it, if you've got kids at home, go all out with pumpkins and spiders and all the rest of those fun things and make it really fun. If you don't have the kids around, and I live in a rural property where I don't get trick-or-treaters. They go to communities where they get more for their buck in a few steps, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on 5-acre properties, there's not enough houses to make it worth their while.
No.
So I like to go from sort of a fall to a pre-Christmas that's warm, but not necessarily pumpkins, but not necessarily full-blown Christmas decorations, because then I'm sick of them by the time Christmas rolls around.
What's really funny is we pre-book all our Christmas homes that we do, usually in August and September, if you can imagine. So I know people already start thinking about it very, very early, but most people don't really commit to decorating until after Halloween. So November, that first week in November, you would not believe how many people are already starting with certain areas in their home.
Wow.
So that's sort of a little bit, I know we're going to be talking about that, because to go full on Christmas all in one go, it can be a daunting task, and I'm hoping that I can inspire everybody that's listening today to really have fun with their decorating and not get stressed out over it.
Decorating can be a lot of fun. It can be extremely stressful, I think, especially if you leave it too late.
Yeah, agreed. And plus you can enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be giving you all kinds of little tips on how to start with the decorating, but not necessarily go full on Christmas until a little bit closer to the Christmas season. So
and I don't really like to push winter too close either, if I can. But it's still nice to, I think, highlight the the really good things about winter.
Of course.
Like the fireplace that keeps you warm, the colors that bring warmth into your house, and those kinds of things. I think that element, I like to carry that right through until March.
Well, we have a very long winter season.
We do.
So why not enjoy it? And quite often I say Christmas decorating, you don't have to do it with the reds and the greens. You can if that's your choice, absolutely. But you can also do more of a winter theme so that you don't feel the day after Christmas like you have to take everything down. I really try and push the classic element. You've known me for years and years and years. So I will have fun with some of the colors, the Christmas colors, but I definitely love to do more of a classic theme so that you can enjoy it for much longer, because face it, you look out the window, it's white, it's very gray, there's not a lot of warmth, so why not bring that warmth inside?
I agree. And to grab colors that are natural and sometimes not, because I have seen some, and from you I have seen some winter appliques, because I'm not going to call them Christmas. They didn't look Christmassy. They looked wintry, with whites and silvers and pinks, and I mean, some stunning things that are not what you would consider to be traditional Christmas colors. So for all of our listeners out there, every time we're live here on Whistle FM with Fresh Waves, you are very welcome to send in your questions, tell us little stories, even, share something that you do in your house that you think works really well or that you've seen. Because one of the things we're going to talk about today is the fact that we're coming up to the Stouffville Home for Christmas tour of homes. And that's always a fun thing, because then we get to walk around to certain people's houses and check out all their wonderful
and there's all kinds of different decorating that you're going to see. So the goal is that hopefully you'll be able to identify with one or several of the homes and go back home and say, okay, I can do this, because now you have a mental image, as opposed to having to start from scratch and decide what am I going to do.
And of course we'll follow this up in November with some feedback as to what worked, what elements we liked, and we did that last year. I thought it was really effective.
Yeah, it was great.
And there is a photo gallery on their website, so you can go and check out what's been done in the past too. Jason, if someone wants to call us today while they're listening to the show, and you can't do this on a podcast, and you can't do it on a Sunday, but on a Wednesday morning, you're welcome to call us, ask us a question, or tell us a little story. So how do they get a hold of us, Jay?
Yes, you can give us a call here at the station, 905-640-1027. We're also on Facebook. Check out our Facebook page, Fresh Waves on Whistle FM. We're also on Twitter at Fresh Waves Radio.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Jay. We're going to take our first morning break, pay a few bills here at the station, and when we come back, we'll be talking decorating with Jolana Pettifer. I'm your host, Brent Masson, and you're listening to Fresh Waves.
Hi folks, Kim Mitchell here. However you choose to get around, your ATV, your snowmobile, your boat, car, if you have a motorcycle, all these things take 100% of your attention and skill to operate safely. Alcohol impairs that, and bad things can happen. So, be smart, okay? You know what I'm going to say next.
This message brought to you from the Safe and Sober Awareness Committee.
Hey everyone, this is Lil J. Join me every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern for the Block Party, a 2-hour journey of the best in the Canadian underground dance music scene, featuring tracks and DJ mixes from Canada's emerging artists, from the disco hits of the 70s to the latest dance floor fillers. No lineups or cover charges, it's your weekly free access to the beats that are packing dance floors in Canada and around the world. The Block Party, Saturday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on 102.9 Whistle FM and online at whistleradio.ca.
We're back. You've got Bren and Jolana in the station this morning talking about decorating. And podcasts are a little deceiving, I must say, because sometimes when you're listening to a podcast, you're listening in July and we're talking about winter decorating. So look at the date and realize that we'll be talking about whatever's in season at the time that the show was recorded.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with Christmas in July.
There isn't, except that it's weird decoration. I'm saying, it is. Actually, we have a family up north who celebrates Christmas 25th of July every year because that's the only time they can get the whole family together.
Oh,
and
that's
it's
fun.
hilarious. They
Why
do bring
not?
out all the Christmas decorations of the tree
There's-
and everything.
there-
The table's decorated. It's
There's
just
Santa
hilarious.
out on the,
absolutely.
Sea-Doo with the ski hat, the Santa hat.
Absolutely. So, okay, we've just finished
Yeah.
with Thanksgiving, and we are about to do
Yeah.
Halloween.
Yep.
So, what colors can we bring in that aren't going to be exactly Christmas colors?
Okay, so again, I love to use multi-greenery. So I've been doing this for years. There's lots and lots available. Of course, if you're going to start to do like your mantles, you're not going to be out there looking for fresh greenery. It's going to be too dry, too brittle by the time you actually start to entertain for the Christmas season. So there's some pretty impressive man-made items that look almost identical. Now, I know this is radio. I've brought a few things in for you to see, Brent, so you can attest to this. So one of the boughs that I've brought, it's got a little bit of everything in it, and if I had this on a fireplace, you would be hard-pressed to be able to tell whether or not it's artificial or whether
It's beautiful.
it's the real thing.
And it also is minus the bling. It doesn't have any of the sparkle.
Yeah,
And I
that's
think
right.
a lot, for me anyway, I think that sparkle does give you the feeling of Christmas.
It does. So the closer you get to Christmas, why can't you add a little bit of that crystal element? Or again, we've brought some hand-blown balls, which are absolutely unbelievable, and our clientele just goes crazy every year because there's always a different sort of feature. So yeah, you can still bring in your crystal and sparkle factor a little bit closer to the Christmas season.
Right.
So staying true to more of that winter decorating and getting ready. So as Christmas approaches, you can really add in what you want. So whether you are traditional, country French, contemporary, the basic principles are all the same. I'm all about the layering. So you start off with a very basic element. So whether it's your greenery element, your faux artificial greenery element, then you can actually add different things into it. So for example, pine cones. You can buy them. You can find them on the ground at this time of year. Add that in with your greenery. So right away, you're sort of bringing that outdoors inside, which is really
symbolic.
It
all
is.
the cultures around the world do something with bringing the greenery in.
Sure,
to,
they
to
do.
symbolize the light and growth that will happen
And life.
again in the spring.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's part of all traditions, no matter who you are or where you come from. That element of green warming up the winter is prominent in all cultures.
Oh, absolutely. And then I always say, think outside the box. Don't be afraid to bring in a bit of color that maybe is unusual. So, for example, if you love to decorate with your golds, why not bring in like a peacock color? Bring it in with some browns. Absolutely an incredible combination. Throw in some of the chartreuse greens. And again, you're going to have a very, very unique looking decorative palette, but at the same time, it's not something that you're going to get tired of because it's not sort of in your face, screaming, this is strictly for Christmas, which is wonderful in my viewpoint.
And then it gives you a gradual build to
It
the
does,
season,
yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah. Of course, I bring in all kinds of layering, whether you like to work with feathers or whether you like to add in some hydrangea flowers. Like, you can really think outside the box, and everybody is different. Some people like that minimalistic look, and others love that over the top. You can't give them enough. So the more you give them, the happier they are. So you're just going to have to figure out, what am I happy with? What do I want to, what style do I want to bring into my home? And the nice thing is you can switch it up from year to year. It does not have to be exactly the same.
No. And you can introduce little things too that you get at the secondhand stores and things.
Of
Where
course
other
you
people
can.
are tired with their stuff. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it. They're just tired of it. So they swap theirs in, you swap out theirs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I quite usually say, if you haven't used it in 3 years,
Toss it.
yeah, or not necessarily toss it. To your point, go to Care and Share. There's someone else that's going to really, really appreciate it
Yeah.
and value it. So again,
Now, what about combining some of these greens that you have here
Yep.
with the gourds that you've got from Thanksgiving? They seem to go hand in
yeah,
hand.
usually I wouldn't put the gourds in with the Christmas decorating.
Right.
Typically, if you want to bring in some kind of an element, bring in more like birch bark, right? Yeah, so you can, if you find it on the ground.
Big bucks.
Well, you know what? Don't go out and peel it off the trees. I don't want you to do that. But you'll quite often find that they do shed, or animals will, and you'll find it on the ground. You can go into stores. I've actually brought some faux ones, which look like they're a bundle of birch bark sticks. So you can use the real thing, but if you can't always get out into the wilds to go, there are lots and lots of beautiful products that you can bring in. So again, I would say to you, if you're going more for that winter and Christmas, what would you find at Christmas time or in the winter? And typically, gourds would be something that you'd kind of go, okay, maybe not, because it's more of a fall. But if you do and you love it, hey, that's great too.
Yeah, and you know what? There's just different strokes for different folks. So try experimenting around.
Yeah,
and like
absolutely.
we've said many times before, go and look at some pictures. Go on your website, Jolana.
Jolana's Exceptional Home Decor. So you can go to www.jolanas.com for some ideas.
Yeah, because there's pictures posted there. And there's pictures of the home tour. And there's pictures you can get from library and decorating sites. And some of them are right over the top. But just pick the elements that you like.
And everybody is different. So there's no such thing as too little or too much in my viewpoint. If that's what you love, then that's what you should have.
It's funny because when you look here, we will have some pictures on the Fresh Waves website, so freshwaves.ca. You can see some of these pictures under the heading of Jolana. And I would never in a billion years have ever thought of introducing blue into this mix.
Yeah, that peacock,
And it's got a little iridescence. It's got a little bit of a gold flick to it.
Yeah, it does.
It's actually spectacular.
It is
I would
spectacular.
never have thought of that.
Yeah,
I could even see doing that as one of the toolings in my Christmas tree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Light bulbs go off.
See, there you go. And then again, look at the very traditional colors with the chartreuse greens. And
now, what are you talking about chartreuse greens for those who don't know what that is?
It's a green color, so it's a very natural. So when you look outside, look at trees, different colors, whether it's evergreens or whether it's a leaf type of tree, you will see that there are so many different combinations of greens. So one of the items that you'll see once you post it shows some dark green, some light green, some sparkle. This is another way to add some interest to that very natural palette.
Yeah, it's really pretty, and it's again this kind of a grayish. I'm going to say army green for lack of description. I would never have thought of putting
sort of leaf green. Yeah.
And in the wintertime, it's not that bright green that you see in the spring. It's a more of a muted.
It's a little more,
grayish
for sure it is.
Kind of a green, and this is really pretty.
And then you factor in, people are afraid of browns. When you say the word brown, everyone kind of goes, oh my gosh, I'm not doing brown. But you factor it in with these natural elements. Again, look at your pine cones. What color are they?
They're brown. Yeah. Just a little bit of brown twig within the green really adds to it. It makes the green pop.
So don't be afraid to kind of use multi layering of ribbons and bows. That is what makes and creates the interest.
Now, where can people buy these ribbons and things? Every year you bring in these amazing things they come on a spool and they look different on the spool than when you start to scrunch them up, because I think they have a bit of a wire through them, don't they?
Yes, some of them do, some of them do not. So if it's wired, it allows you to literally create the shape that you wish to have wherever it may be, whether it's just a bow or whether it's to be wound through your greenery that you're putting in. It just gives you that textural element. The other thing it does, if it's wired, this is an organza silk ribbon. So see how it's capturing all those different colors?
Yeah.
If it was just flat, you actually wouldn't see it, because it's the shadowing that gives you that incredible depth and dimension, which always looks amazing on any kind of a decorating, whether it's on a bookshelf or a fireplace or a front hall table. Yeah.
And so where do you find these kinds of interesting things?
So we carry...
Other than that, Jolana's.
Yeah, we carry lots and lots of ribbons ourselves. We tend to get a little more into the decorative ribbons, but you can go anywhere. Brenda, you can go to...
Michael's has
Michael's. You can go to dollar stores. You can... So depending on your budget, you can reproduce an incredible look. You just have to have a little bit of time.
Can you get this kind of stuff online too? I guess you can. online. But
Oh,
you have
sure,
to
you
really
can
know
get
what you
anything
were looking
online,
at.
yeah. But the only thing is, the colors that are depicted online aren't always the colors
Right,
that you
because
end
there's
up
more light
getting.
than a computer screen,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Even I
yeah.
find looking at paint chips is the same online.
Yeah,
Boy,
of course
I look
it
at the
is.
paint chips and I think, wow,
I
that's
would
a fantastic color.
I would never let somebody choose a paint color
I
online.
went over to
no.
Benjamin Moore or whatever it is
Yep.
in town, Inside Out, and I had a great color that I really liked. And when I saw it on the page instead of online,
Yeah.
it was completely different.
Well,
Of course.
and don't forget when someone is taking a picture, whether it's, whether you're taking pictures of Christmas decorations or a room that's in the spring or whenever, the lighting is critical to getting a great shot.
Yeah,
So
it is.
lighting can intensify a color, or now with editing, what you necessarily see in a magazine or online is not always the color that it actually is in person. So, yeah.
So that's why sometimes if you're going to be doing a huge decorating extravaganza, it's good to get a designer's point of view before you go.
It is, and it's really nice to kind of sit down and think about a color palette, right? Whether you want it to be natural or whether you do want the reds and the greens. And again, if I do reds and greens, I will quite often throw in like a Tiffany blue because
Right.
it offsets the reds and the greens. So really, it's the combination of colors
Right.
that you choose that kind of set the tone.
Right. Well, what you've got here on the table is a really beautiful display, and we're going to talk more about the specific things right when we get back from our little break here. So stay tuned. We've got some great stuff coming. I'm your host, Bren Masson, and we're talking with Jolana Pettifer.